Here's what's next on the Nice Guys on Business.
Having seen all the different things that have to get balanced, then when I opened my own firm, it made it very easy for me to see that you can't be all like environmental things are bad. You can't be all burn everything down and go back to nature. So where in the middle do we reside? And that's where most people reside. And most people want clean air, want clean water, but they recognize there has to be a balancing between how we get there and making sure everyone does their part.
Locally sourced, organic, gluten-free, and topic to table. It's the Nice Guys on Business podcast. Go from where you are now to where you could be. Get expert tips to grow your business, to be more productive and more efficient, whether you're trying to build influence, grow your community, or make it rain. Best-selling author of Nice Guys Finish First, Doug Sandler, can lead the way. The Nice Guys on Business is produced by Turnkey Podcast Productions. Now, here's your host, Doug Sandler.
Okay, Nice Guy community. If breathing, eating, drinking, and sleeping are important to you, and who the hell wouldn't they be important to? Today's episode will educate and spark some conversation at your dinner table tonight. Well, Jennifer Novak, she's a second-generation California attorney, fulfilled her childhood dream of becoming an attorney. See that? I wanted to be a podcast producer when I was in second grade, and she wanted to be an attorney and change the world. With over 2 decades of litigation experience, she has handled complex legal matters with her own law firm, focusing on providing fair representation to clients navigating environmental regulations. That is right. This is a topic that we all need to become near and dear to our hearts. Now, Jennifer aims to ease the stress of legal challenges by demystifying the laws and offering unwavering support to those looking for her assistance. This will be a unique talk, so stay tuned in. Jennifer, welcome to the Nice Guys on Business podcast.
Thank you. I appreciate you being you. Thank you. I appreciate being
all
here.
All of those things. It's all of those things. I know. And had the intro written by my mom. She does a really good job of writing those, doesn't she?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So environmental law and entrepreneurs. You would think maybe oil and water, but it's not really the case. I mean, it might be the case if you're in the oil business and you want to have clean drinking water. But tell me a little bit about why environmental law should even be important to those in our listening community. And then I want to share a little bit of your background and some of the cool stuff that you've been able to accomplish with your life.
Sure. I mean, for those who are in business, and that is a variety of things, everything from manufacturing and transportation and winemaking, or anybody who needs to handle chemicals or metals or any products like that, they sell products. Environmental regulations are very much a part of your day-to-day life. Yeah. So if you don't understand what they are, how they're changing day to day, and why we have them, then it can be really easy to fall into the trap of racking up violations or not doing your part to keep the system going and keep the environment protected. So even from a dollars and cents standpoint, when business owners don't understand the basic rules, they can end up paying huge penalties or being swept up into lawsuits later on down the road. So now they both have an environmental problem and they have a money problem that they could have avoided.
All right, let me ask you some questions, because I think from a practical application of this, as you started to talk about the types of businesses, and I'm like, oh, well, my girlfriend, JJ, she actually has a wine label of her own. Now, she is not involved in the grape growing, but I'm assuming if somebody drinks her wine and gets sick, all of a sudden now there's a question of, hey, where would the grapes grown? Was there any, I forget what it is, glyphosate or glyphosate, I don't know even how to say it, but like the Roundup stuff. And I'm thinking, is she somebody that would want to or need to know about environmental law? At what point does our responsibility as a business owner end and the caveat emptor, let the buyer beware, begin? Or maybe that's a fine line there, isn't there?
Oh, that's a slippery slope, because you're starting to move from environmental laws with respect to the resources used and the production process used and the transportation of those, to now you have consumer issues as far as the quality of the products that you're selling and the potential effects it may have on someone down the road. And there is definitely a through line between the environmental issues to those consumer, health issues. Environmental law, as I see it, kind of stops partway through.
Yeah.
But as a consumer, certainly you have the ability to believe that you're buying a product that isn't going to harm you.
Right.
And with respect to the consumerism of any product that is manufactured or made or transported, you should be able to believe that you're not hurting the environment in the process.
All right, so the world is, in 2024, as we're recording to this, it's the world according to chemicals. Everything has been put together, and chemicals are certainly an everyday part of our life. And whether they're good, bad, or indifferent, I don't know. I'm just a podcast producer. But for those of you that are in our audience that might have been impacted at any point, well, let's start there. Who are the people that really? I mean, I think about things like somebody that's in farming or somebody that owns land that is using the land as a part of their business, or someone that's in oil and gas. I mean, so tell me what types of businesses are affected by the type of law that you practice.
A lot of people that you may not even be thinking of. I mean, I'll give you an example. We've been working with two churches, and they own land in formerly industrial areas because that's where you can get a nice big piece of land and a big building. And it doesn't cost you an arm and a leg the way it might if you lived on the coast, right?
Right.
Well, guess what? I mean, industrial land means there's probably somebody who preceded you who handled various kinds of materials, high likelihood of spills, or that your neighbor might have spilled something that's now affecting your property. So this is a church. They may never have thought that they would need environmental laws, and now they have to figure out what are their rights and what are their obligations. And when you have an agency knocking on your door saying, we'd like you to do some testing on your property to see if it's going to harm your churchgoers, then suddenly now it's in your face and you have to deal with it.
All right.
That's just one example.
Okay, and let me take that example. Let me kind of play that out for just a second, because if I was a church owner or the person that ran the church itself, and I have this question, I'm going to call probably my attorney when somebody says, "Hey, there's a problem." And would my attorney contact you, or are they going to refer me to you? In like, how does that even work? How does the relationship? Because I'm not thinking I'm sophisticated enough to even know enough to know that I need to hire an environmental attorney to help with the litigation or the law.
And many people don't know that we really exist. I get that a lot too. So people would come to us in really one of three ways, I guess. Sometimes they've reached out to a consultant, and the consultant comes in and takes a look at the problem and says, hey, by the way, you're going to need someone who understands this process to help you out as well. That's one way. Second way is when they reach out to their lawyer, and we just got referred to somebody by an estate planning lawyer. Sometimes it's a family law lawyer. Whatever lawyer you know, hopefully knows enough to reach out and try to find somebody with the relevant expertise and brings us in. And then sometimes it's a bigger business that already has an in-house lawyer or a law firm they use for that purpose. And then we co-counsel with them. We buddy up and we help fill in the gaps in their expertise and understanding and comfort level so that together we can serve the client and get the questions answered. I like to say I play well with others. So I'm not a one-stop shop for anybody's clients. I'm just here to ensure people know it's a tough world. It's a complex world. So I'm here to just do my little piece. Right. And then I'm out. And then hopefully I don't see you ever again.
Well, it's kind of like going to the general practitioner who discovers that you have a heart murmur and they want to bring in a cardiologist to help fix the heart murmur, or to at least examine this heart murmur to make sure that there isn't anything more grand. We live in a world that is based upon, environmentalism and sustainability and all of the different terms that are out there. Where do you, again, begin and end your process? Do you work with a business? Do you work with would a consumer ever call you, or is it just based upon businesses? Like, an individual having questions about sustainability or environmentalism, are they calling you for any particular reason?
Sometimes they'll call us because they're angry about a situation they see going on and they want to do something about it. And there are definitely lawyers for them.
Right.
And we can steer them in the right direction. What I've started doing, and I really believe in what I'm doing, is trying to improve the world one business at a time. So if I can help a business owner understand what happened in the past and how to move past it, what they're doing now that may just need to be tweaked. Maybe they don't know any better. Maybe someone is coming in and complaining about a situation, but it's not quite, fair, it's not quite within the law, then trying to ensure that they don't get swept up into this notion of environmentalism and we have to go after everybody. The truth is that the definition of polluter is really broad, and a lot of people who would never in a million years think that they are a polluter legally qualify. So what do you do to help those people and help them move past it?
Can you give me an example of that? Because I'm really curious now that you said that somebody that wouldn't consider themselves being a polluter is somebody that is actually polluting the environment. Give me an example of that.
Sure. The one that always tugs at my heartstrings is we represented a family where it was, dad and son doing transmission repair, just one engine at a time, not even a big operation. And with the spent oil that came out of the engines, they'd call up somebody who'd pick it up, take it away to be recycled. That's what you're supposed to do. Mm-hmm. It just so happens that the place they were taking it to was not handling it appropriately and caused a major problem with all the spent oil. Mm-hmm. Well, guess what? Everybody in that chain and all of the hundreds of people who were sending their oil to this particular place, you're all swept up in the need to pay for the remediation. You're all technically polluters. As another example, one of our clients was doing some redevelopment at their site. They found an old buried underground storage tank that had contained gasoline product. Mm-hmm. And being the good citizens that they are, they dug it up. They dug up the contaminated soil. They sent it to all the right places, right? They made the ground useful. Well, they're a polluter because they picked it up and they picked up the soil and they transported it. Oh, so there were some obligations that they had to undertake that they didn't know existed because they were doing the right thing. They didn't know there would be all these other rules. I mean, that's just two examples.
I love how you said, you're the one that's brought in by what I coined as the general practitioner, as the specialist. You're the one that's brought in, you do your work, and then you kind of button it up and you go on your way, hopefully never to having to speak to that person again if you did your job.
I don't want repeat customers.
No, I get it. So how, give me some reason why is there any reason why somebody wouldn't call you? I mean, I keep thinking, how do I know? I don't know what I don't know. I mean, your gift to the world is you understand that part of the law. I wouldn't even know enough to know when to call you or that the environment is even involved. Is somebody else the catalyst for that? Or am I the one that's got to say, you know what, I think the environment's getting damaged by this or might be impacted by this. I better call somebody like Jennifer to help me out.
So occasionally we get a call from somebody who is looking forward and saying, I want to engage in a certain business, or I want to undertake a certain development project. I want to buy a piece of property, and I want you, Jennifer, to get involved early on to protect me. And so I make sure that I'm not missing something along the way. But the reason why those people come to me is because they've been burned in the past. Mm-hmm. Most people aren't thinking about environmental issues. It's not at the forefront. I mean, you said that right off the bat in this podcast, that of all the million of other things they have to worry about, we seem like just a luxury, or we seem like an issue. Of course, they've got it under control, out of sight, out of mind. They do their inspections, whatever. And it's not until a problem comes up that suddenly they realize they could have been doing something about this all the way through. And to answer the question about the catalyst, very often it really is because either a government agency has discovered a nearby problem, or they're now looking at a whole industry and starting to ask that whole industry questions about past practices and conditions. Or it can happen where your next door neighbor is trying to sell a property. As part of their due diligence, they're doing some environmental sampling and reporting, and they find something that shouldn't have existed at their site. And they look around and guess where it might have come from. And that's where we get brought in as well. The education that I attempt to do for the world is pretty great, just to keep preaching that it actually doesn't take much to look under the hood, see if you have a problem, do that tune-up before it becomes a problem, before the whole thing breaks down.
All right. So your specialty is in environmental law and litigation. And the first thing I think about is this something that is a problem that I am either creating or causing or a part of? Is this something that is going to go to court? Is this something that I deal with a government agency, or am I dealing with another company? Am I battling against a consumer or maybe the answer is all of the above?
It could be all of the above, honestly.
And if you had to pick your druthers, which would be the one that you'd want to deal with the least? Probably the government, I would assume, right?
That is true. And it depends on the government agency, I think. But the reality is, when you're dealing with the government, unless you've let it drag on so far that now they're bringing legal proceedings against you, let's talk about the situations instead where they just reach out and they say, hey, we think you may have caused a problem. Then you're just spending the money to investigate whether that's the case.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not cheap to hire the consultants and do the testing. And it's not an overnight process. You have to do it over time. But conceivably, you're going to reach a point where you can make an informed decision. Either you can decide this is not an us problem, go away, or you can decide, okay, it is an us problem, but it's only going to cost us this much money to address. When you get sucked into litigation, now you're at the mercy of lawyers, paid consultants who are your experts, and the courts. And things can get out of hand. Things get dragged on for years and years and years and years and years and years, because nobody wants to be solely responsible for the problem. They tend to look around to see who else may have contributed to this. Do they have insurance? What about the people who were on that property 50 years ago? Maybe they caused part of the problem too. And now you have all this finger pointing, and you have everyone trying to provide whatever legal defenses exist. And now your costs are 3, 4, 10 times what they would have been to just deal with the problem. So in that sense, I think you'd rather take your chances with the government, quite honestly. And that's a sad thing to say, but it is true.
Kind of like title insurance. When you buy a new home and you're buying title insurance as a part of it, the title insurance is bought to protect you in the chain of ownership. Is there any type of thing like that when it comes to in the environment? Is there environmental title insurance? Or, like I think about when we bought this property, I live in a small town called Ojai, California. When I think about the contract that we signed and all the paperwork at the settlement table, one of them things we signed was over burial rights and mineral rights. So I'm like, well, hold on. You're telling me that somebody could come literally that has mineral rights and dig in our backyard if they discover oil and gas or whatever? Is there anything that's similar to that in the environmental world?
Yes, actually there is.
All right. Tell me about it. I'm really curious now.
So there is environmental insurance. Depending on the situation you're currently in, it may or may not be something you can get to address a current problem. But I definitely have seen situations where people had environmental insurance policies, and then later on down the road, a new problem with a new chemical is discovered, and suddenly somebody can tap into that insurance to help with the problem. Similarly, pre-85 or so, most general liability policies for businesses would provide or could provide some coverage. So if you have a situation involving older companies, older insurance policies, you can still tender to them. You may have a fight on your hands, but at least it's available to you to help address some of these problems. And the last thing is, certainly it's all something you can deal with in contracts, where if you think that there may be a problem that could arise in the future, or that it's already happened in the past, certainly you can broker an agreement where there are financial assurances or somebody promises to pay for it if it ever becomes a problem down the road. And those have their challenges as well. They're not 100%. They're not, automatic sometimes, but it is better than nothing. And it's what allows us to even go forward with some of our business transactions.
It's a fascinating subject. I mean, I really have never put a lot of time or energy into thinking about environmental law being in the podcast production business, but there are many people, I'm sure, that are in our community that need to take it into account as a business owner. I'm really curious, just, come back to your story for a second. I know we haven't shared a lot about what you did or how you did it to get to where you are, but when did you decide that this was your mission? Because, I would imagine, it says in our bio, in your bio, on your About Me page on your website, that this is one of your dreams. And I keep thinking, was this a third grade dream that you wanted to be an environmental lawyer? Or like, when did this happen? When did you know that this was your gift?
So being a second generation female attorney, I actually was born when my mother was in law school. And so all the friends I had growing up were these adult women lawyers. And I thought that's what women did. So I've wanted to be a lawyer my whole life, and really came into it believing that it was a way to solve people's problems. It was a way to help people. And throughout my career, didn't intend to go into environmental law. But after I had my daughter and she was just a baby, I had the opportunity to work for the California Department of Justice in one of their environmental branches. And in that capacity, I represented many of the California state agencies that come up with our environmental regulations and policies. And they were being sued from the environmentalists. They were being sued from cities. They were being sued by businesses, because they have to navigate this world of being in charge and trying to protect the environment, and yet being of a world where you have to actually let people live lives. And having seen all the different things that have to get balanced, then when I opened my own firm, it made it very easy for me to see that you can't be all like environmental things are bad. You can't be all burn everything down and go back to nature. So where in the middle do we reside? And that's where most people reside. And most people want clean air, want clean water, but they recognize there has to be a balancing between how we get there and making sure everyone does their part.
So this is, while it may seem as you're listening to this, this is a very California thing, because we are in the state of sustainability and environmental loveliness. This is something happening every state in the union, everywhere. Who typically would become a client of yours, and what does that initial consultation or call look like for you?
So we make ourselves available once a month for an hour for free. You can go to our website and sign up for office hours, and we give you a confidential block of time where you can just jump on and ask questions. And even people who are outside of California, I can't maybe give you specific advice for your state, but I can tell you how the system works. And I can hear your story and hear whether or not this is really an environmental issue at all, or whether it's something else. In addition, our website also has a Calendly link. So we have 15-minute free blocks of time where someone can just call up and explore the same issues and ideas, or even ask questions to see that I know what I'm talking about, or that we can handle the kinds of matters that they have.
I've had a chance to listen to Jennifer on several other podcast episodes that she has recorded, and I will tell you, each message that she provides, it's not a template. She doesn't rubber stamp these interviews. She does a really good job, and she definitely knows what she's talking about. These are not the same questions. I know the couple of other shows that you had been on, I was listening to the answers to the questions. I'm like, okay, well, she's answered those questions already. Let me ask a whole bunch of new questions, and I'm glad to see that it's not like a sound bite of information. So thank you for sharing your genuine concern for the environment and the law at the same time. I wanted to, if it's okay with you, unless you have anything else that you want to share about your business or about your law, I want to take a right turn for a second, because you are a proprietor of a practice, and I want to ask you some questions just as the owner of your business, because there are a lot of people that own their own businesses, maybe some attorneys that are in our business too. You've been doing what you've been doing for about how long?
Almost 11 years now.
Okay, 11 years. And is it a solo practitioner practice, or are there multi attorneys that have different specialties within your firm? How does your firm work?
So we have 3 lawyers right now, including me. We all do environmental law. And even though it sounds like a very specialized practice, there's a lot that falls within it. So we can all handle water quality issues, permitting, compliance, government negotiations, the contaminated properties. We all are somewhat of a Swiss Army knife in this area.
I got it. And looking at the business, it looks like you are the founder of the business. Is that correct?
I am.
Okay. So as the founder of the business, and again, I ask this just as a business owner to business owner, there's always stuff that keeps you up at night. For me, it's like, hey, is my team, am I keeping my team busy enough? Am I keeping them too busy? Are my clients happy? All the things. Like, what are the things as a business owner that you are, that you, I guess, maybe not the stuff that keeps you up at night, but the stuff that keeps you up at night? What's the stuff that you still, you're still working on with your own business too?
I'd say one of the biggest challenges for me over time had been to move away from trying to do everything or manage everything myself, and being able to trust other people, delegate to other people. And so what would keep me up at night and what consumes a lot of my time is ensuring that my folks, my team, has the support they need, has the resources they need. I might go a little overboard in investing in the people, and both in terms of my time and the resources I can provide to them, but knowing that in the long run, it makes us all a lot stronger. And then it also makes it easier if someone leaves and someone else comes in. If we have the systems and the policies and procedures and the teamwork in place to keep moving forward and keep growing.
I love it. Exceeding expectations in the eyes of your staff. That's usually a great spot for a boss to be in. So that's definitely good. And toot your own horn for a second. What's the stuff that you think that you excel at? Some of the thing that you just like, hey, I know I got this on lock and I'm really good at it. What is the fill in the blank here? What is the thing you guys are really good at?
Really targeting, to hear the problem, to really keep somebody's goal in mind, and to be realistic about the options they have. I don't try to over lawyer things. I don't try to pursue things just because I think it's cool or it would make me look good. At the end of the day, what does my client really want? And that's what I'm going to go get for them. And I'm brutally honest sometimes. So if you are looking for a yes man, I may not be your man.
Understood.
But I think our talent is in really having a heart for our clients and compassion, and doing whatever we can to get them where they need to be.
Excellent. All right. And you mentioned two things. I want to make sure that we get these in the hands of our community, those that might be interested in moving a little bit closer to you and finding out what you do. Number one, you have a Calendly link. What's the best way for them to get to your Calendly link? On
our website, you can hit the contact us information and that'll come up for you.
Okay. And just say your website again. So everybody, I don't think we did that already. So go ahead.
www.jfnovaclaw.com.
All right. And we'll put a link in the show notes so that you have access to that. That's the 15-minute free consult that you're going to get. And you also mentioned that you have a free once a month, hour-long just freebie, come and collect information. And how do they get to that?
It'll pop up on the same website. You can link to it from there. And it is the first Wednesday of every month at noon Pacific.
Excellent. So you got 60 minutes of a freebie time that you can ask your questions. It's a good low risk. What's it called? Low risk, high reward. If you want to get more information about the environment, maybe hear what other people are dealing with. Also, that would be a good spot for you to go to. Anything that I should be asking that I'm not asking you in the world of environmental law? Because this has been fascinating for me, because it's a subject that I have to say, in 1,500 episodes of doing my show, I don't think we've ever had an environmental attorney on here, and one that has been as nice as you also. So
thank you. I try. I would say one place where I see entrepreneurs and business owners get into trouble is by assuming they know everything they need to know and not really taking the time to ask questions. You can't just pick up one permit or one law or one case and understand all the things that are changing. And this truly, even across the country, not just California, things are changing on a daily basis. And often one rule refers to another rule. And if that second rule gets changed, but you don't have a copy of it, now you're in violation. And this is a world of strict liability. So it doesn't matter that you didn't mean to, or it was a mistake, or you didn't pay attention. It's the end result that matters. And if there's a violation, if there's a spill, if there's a failure to get a permit, unfortunately, there's not a lot lawyers can do for you under those circumstances except mitigate damages. So the best thing you can do is talk to somebody first to make sure you don't end up there in the first place. Don't assume you know everything.
Number one on the list would be Jennifer Novak and all of the attorneys at her office. Make sure you take advantage of that. Click the link in the show notes. It's right there in the show notes. You know how to get there. You just click the link on Apple and it's right there. You'll see it. There's a whole bunch of things, including access to your YouTube page and your social media as well. Yes. Jennifer, thank you so much for sharing your expertise today.
Really appreciate it.
Nice Guy community, never underestimate the power of nice. Again, special thanks to Jennifer Novak. All of our information right there in the show notes. Steve O'Brien, go ahead and take us out of here.
Are you sure the legal department cleared this? Okay then. For the Nice Guys on Business, I'm Steve O'Brien. Hey, if these bozos want to get sued, that's their business. Leave me out of it. Wait, we have a legal department?